Lynn, thank you so much for doing this interview with me today.
Absolutely. Come on in.
Have you ever vaped before?
No, I actually haven't.
Oh, what's your reasoning behind that?
Honestly, you know, like growing up, my mom always told me not to vape and how like addictive it can be. And it just really that stuck with me because I never wanted to let my mom down. But in addition, I also didn't know what the chemicals and all the things that could cause vaping. And so, yeah, I just never wanted to vape.
Okay, well, do you know how many adolescents in America vape?
Honestly, I think it's around 2.5 million people who vape, and like that's truly like an epidemic in America. That's not okay.
Wow. Do you ever feel peer pressure to vape?
All the time. You know, being a student at LSU, I feel like a lot of our culture is surrounded around like vaping, around drinking, things in that nature. So peer pressure is obviously just going to come.
How do you resist this pressure?
I stay true to myself, you know, like honestly, as a person, like with a bunch of leadership roles, like I feel like I have a presence to uphold.
How do you resist vaping on a daily basis?
Yeah, so for me, I feel like vaping is often a coping mechanism for people, like if they have anxiety or if they're feeling overwhelmed with school, which kind of ties in with anxiety, but they often reach for their vape and start vaping. So I try and find other outlets instead of vaping. I'll like go for a walk, you know, talk to my friends, and maybe I even have to take a Xanax, but you know, just these different ways, I feel like that just keeps me away from vaping because it is such an addicting thing, and that there's so many teenagers who struggle with it, and even adults.
Do you personally know people who vape?
Yes. Honestly, you see people on campus walking around who vape, and then like you'll just be sitting in a living room and your friends will be vaping. So, yeah.
How do you believe we can stop the epidemic of vaping?
Honestly, I think it has to do with like learning and teaching and educating others about like what vaping can do to their bodies, and like even though it is a sort of recent thing, it's just like people don't know possible side effects. So that's very important.
Do you think people are aware of how addictive it can be?
No. You know, everybody thinks that it's like you can just hit it one time and never have to worry about it, but that's just not true. You know, like it really is addictive, and I think that would be a really good thing to know.
Well, thank you so much for doing this interview with me
Yes,
today.
of course. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Hey y'all, I just want to come on here and say a few final things. I hope y'all did enjoy my video. It was my take on the Vogue 73 questions. I sure did enjoy making it, so I hope y'all liked it just as much as I did. And on a serious note, I do know that vaping is so common, and I wouldn't try and undermine anybody who's doing it. This is just my performance of everyday resistance. This is something that you've been struggling with and that you don't want to struggle with any longer. I did find an awesome resource for you guys. It's called truthinitiative.org. They share a lot of information on e-cigarettes, vaping, and also just like tobacco. So that is a really awesome resource if you've been vaping for a long time, but it's not really been something that you've wanted to do. I also wanted to add that performance in everyday resistance is just so different for everybody. You know, like we all struggle with different things, and I thought that vaping was one that we could all relate to in one aspect or another, whether if we do vape every day or if we're just like peer pressured by it. So yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and see y'all later.